Hi everyone, this is the presentation of my service learning project that I developed this semester. My service learning project title is Literacy Kit, Promoting Literacy. My name is Isabel Empen. The course was EDU 290, taught by Professor Brianna Morales in the fall semester of 2025. And my community partner was Chicago Commons Nonprofit Association, which is the logo where you guys are seeing. Chicago Commons Thriving Across Generations. This is an institution present in the city of Chicago for more than 120 years in the most needy neighborhoods and communities. So let's go to the presentation. My project overview. A brief description of my service learning project. It has the goal to promote early literacy to children from the NIA Family Center and encourage parents to read more for their kids, attend Chicago public libraries, and have literacy moments at home. The purpose and guiding question for my service learning project was: what are the reading levels of school-age children in the community I work, and how my work impacts on that? Through my research, I found out that children in school age in the West Humboldt Park area read below their grade levels, and that begins with a deficiency in early literacy. A summary of who benefits from my service learning project and why that matters, the issue matters. The main group benefited from my service learning project are the children from classroom 11 at the center I teach. And the issue of not having reading proficiency matters because it impacts directly in children's school success and attendance. Children who cannot follow up instruction because of reading have a bigger chance to drop out from school and never return. That's something I wish to help change. My initial goals and planning. Original project goals. It was to craft early literacy kits for students at Classroom 11 and NIA Family Center. The kits were made with one coloring book, 2 children's literature books, resources on local public libraries, resources on how to implement literacy moments at home, and a box of crayons. Distribute kits and receive feedback from parents. Families to have access to early literacy materials and have literacy moments at home. The rationale for the goals: to support students' phonemics awareness, increase their vocabulary, and consequently comprehension. The quality of life plan for Humboldt Park. According to a 2004 Illinois Facilities Fund study, only 2 of Humboldt Park's 12 public elementary schools were classified as performing schools, meaning that at least 40% of their kids read below grade level. Resources for the West Humboldt Park community. The need for educational support services such as literacy programs for adults and children in the area is highlighted in the Community Resource Directory. My planning timeline was in week 1 and 2 brainstorming and choosing the theme of my service learning project. During weeks 3 and 4, I fill out the planning form and investigated my community resources. In week 5 and 6, I selected the books and put into the kits, the coloring books, and in week 5 and 6, I selected the books I was going to put into the kits, purchased the coloring books and the crayons. In week 7 and 8, I added the resources of local libraries, how to borrow books from it, and how to implement literacy moments at home. And during week 9 and 10, I distributed the kits to the families and received feedback on that. Ethical considerations in planning. Students receive age-appropriate books, culturally responsive materials, bilingual instructions for parents who do not speak English, and every child in the classroom received a kit, making distribution equitable. My community research and demographics. The location is the West Humboldt Park neighborhood in Chicago at the NIA Family Center, run by Chicago Commons nonprofit. The age group was children of 1.5 to 2 years old. The racial and ethnic makeup are African American and Hispanic students and families. The income data. Families face financial hardship and receive support from government programs. Families don't have access to early literacy materials in their home. The literacy kit makes access equitable. Local statistics. Unemployment and household stability. The community experienced high rates of unemployment, 12% in 2017, and high receipt of temporary assistance or needy families, for needy families, SNAP, 66%, indicating economic hardship that can impact early learning. Limited English proficiency. 14% of households had limited English proficiency, which can be a barrier to accessing early literacy resources. Educational attainment. 30% of adults did not have a high school degree in 2019, a factor that can influence a child's home literacy and environment. I attached also a map of the Chicago city, and I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but the Humboldt Park neighborhood is right here. West Humboldt Park and West Humboldt Park, which is not far from downtown, but is already in the West neighborhoods, which are very needy areas for government agencies, for programs, etc. Community research context and needs. The community history and background is that the West Humboldt Park neighborhood was in the 18th and 19th century immigrants neighborhood, but made it mainly by Scandinavians and Germans and Poles and Italian immigrants. Beginning in the 1950s, the neighborhood received an expressive amount of Puerto Rican residents who influenced strongly the community scene until these days. Now, the neighborhood has a big Hispanic heritage present by its residents, murals of arts, food scene, and local business. Identify needs and assets. The needs of the community are access to early learning materials at home, ways to support early language acquisition for toddlers, culturally responsive and bilingual materials. Some of the assets of this community is that there are family and community values. They're very strong about that. They have dedicated teachers and schools, parents who are open to work alongside teachers and to promote language development at home and school. Relevant ethical or equity concerns is to support families and not imply they are deficient. Assure all students had access to a literacy learning kit. Assure easy language was used with parents. And no personal data was collected from families. Connection between research findings and project goals. So some of the connections are activities and materials were designed for 1.2, 1.5, and 2 years old toddlers, hands-on learning experiences, and to assist in vocabulary acquisition. Based on the ethnic and racial group, choose carefully appropriate books and materials. Acknowledging financial barriers, kits were designed to be low cost and reusable. So most of the coloring books I purchased was from Dollar Tree, and the crayons as well. And a lot of the books I purchased 16 books in total. They were from the Salvation Army or from used stores that have books in very, very good conditions for 19 cents, 95 cents, $1, $3 tops. So they were very accessible. The description of week 6 to 8 in my service learning project was during week 6 to 8, many things happened between then. Purchase the coloring books and crayons, purchase the children's literature books, Started to assembling the kits, researched and printed out information for Chicago public libraries in the neighborhood. After Module 7 discussion with my peers at National Louis University, I collected ways to implement literacy moments at home and printed out to add it to the kit. And lastly, translated all important information to Spanish for Hispanic parents to understand it. And here are some of the pictures of my libraries list. And I know it's very small, but it has the times that the libraries are open, their phone number, their address. And here is a little instructions for my parents in English and in Spanish for them to read it and implement those important moments at home. The project execution, during weeks 9 and 10, the literacy kits were completed and ready for distribution. The communication with school director and staff involved were made verbally. And these are my artifacts. I was very happy when I completed assembling all my kits. And here are the bags. And this is a little photo of one of the kits, but every kit had a different books. So for example, this one has the book Where is the Spot? It's for a child that really likes to open and interact physically with the book. So I added that element for that child. Christmas or holiday season book, How to Catch an Elf. I personally love that one. And a coloring book about the princess. It has Ariel, it has Tiana, which is a African American princess, crayons, and the 2 papers with instructions. Documented community impact. So I'm very proud of this part, but the number of children serviced were 8 in total. Hours completed to make this service learning project happen was 20 plus hours of service, including researching, talking to institution, organizing staff, collecting materials, assembling materials, transporting kids to school, and distributing them to parents. It took me a lot of work, but I am really happy and really proud of everything I accomplished with my service learning project. The resources distributed were 8 coloring books, 16 children's literature books, 8 boxes of crayons, 8 printouts of local libraries plus instructions, and 8 literacy kits instructions and printouts, both of them in English and Spanish. The qualitative impacts that I received feedback from was parents commenting that they were looking for ways to develop students' vocabulary. During teachers and parents conference, they were looking for, they discussed these needs in the parents and teachers conference, and they were very happy that I came up with this service learning project to assist in this area. How the product addressed the identified need? Well, the kit assists families who want to assist children with vocabulary acquisition but didn't have the means for it. More than giving books, the kit contains instructions to parents who most of the times didn't know how to borrow books from the Chicago Public Library. The kit assists parents with instructions of how to model speech for children, how to engage in discussions about books, and ask open-ended questions to help children develop language skills. This seems very obvious for us who are educators, but parents sometimes don't know about those strategies and tools, and the kit assists them with that. The ethical reflection impact is, after finishing this service learning project, I feel deeply grateful that I could impact the families I work with in such a special time, Thanksgiving holiday. Their gratitude when receiving the kit made all my work be worth it. As a teacher, I deeply understand how that having Ethic goes beyond fulfilling our duties in the day-to-day classroom routine. It means to understand the needs of the children we serve and how we can advocate for them and make a difference in their lives. The collaboration with an organization. So my community partners were Chicago Commons nonprofit organization. Here's their logo. The school that was my partner is my working site, Nia Family Center. This one right here. And how relationship was established and maintained? Well, for me, being an employee opened to me the possibility of talking to my directors and superiors, explaining the need for service learning project and to implement it. I had a meeting on November 5 with my assistant director Tamia to explain the concept, how the distribution would occur, and which classroom would be benefited from the service learning project. I told her that I was going to take the lead, and she was like, okay, I trust you, Isabel. You got this. You have the whole freedom to do your service learning project here in this school. The ethical considerations. One of the most important insights I have from this experience is that nobody can work all alone. As educators, we need to have partners and people we collaborate to promote ethic in schools and classrooms, to solve big and small issues and promote a more equitable access to education for all, but mainly marginalized children. And lastly, this is some of the notes I took from my meeting with my director. The course concepts application. This is a photo of the kids being ready to be transported from my house to the school. And I could connect my service learning project with many of the course concepts like ethics in education, respecting families, children, school, and community, acting with integrity and fairness. My service learning project demonstrated this concept using age-appropriate materials, assuring equitable access to all children in classroom 11. And the evidence for that is all kits were distributed to families without need of signing, filling up forms, sharing data, none of that. All kits were included similar materials and used an easy to understand language. Teacher advocacy. The definition for me is when teachers go above and beyond to support children's needs out of classroom, when teachers use their voice, own time and resources to do what is right. My service learning project demonstrates this because it recognizes the issue of my community in supporting children's early literacy development. It tries to solve this problem in a small base. And the evidence for that is that I talked with my directors and organized the distribution with staff, explained the purpose, and led the way to make this happen. Another element that I'm gonna highlight lastly, because the video is becoming very long, is cultural humility. For me, that's when teachers approach community humbly, open to learn, and listen with respect. My service learning project honors the family's strength, values, and histories, respecting the bilingual households. And one of the evidences is the books have African American characters. I added books in Spanish. I printed out resources in English and Spanish for my bilingual families. My project outcomes, I accomplished creating and distributing the kits. I reached out students and their families. I built positive relationships with my parents and the families at school. One of the goals was to increase families' access to literacy materials and tools, and that was accomplished. Another goal was to provide families with ideas of literacy moments, and that was accomplished. Some of the evidence here is one of the parents that allowed me to take this picture and share it here with you guys, and one of my students. And another evidence, it's all the kids in my classroom being exposed to the parents for them to pick it up. My personal reflection is that this experience changed completely how I am as a teacher, as an educator. I felt grateful to be able to help my students and to be able to help my community. I was happy that I could honor their history, and the kids were given not as a sign of charity or that they were in any sort of way deficient, but the kids were given as gifts, as ways for them to enjoy a literacy moment at home, to have fun with that. And what I take from this experience is that I know I'm not too small to advocate for my students. I can be a lead. I can lead my directors and my colleagues to advocate for my students. And being an ethical teacher goes way beyond the day-to-day classroom, goes beyond the 9-to-5 schedule. It's something that we are always in need to do. We need to be aware of the communities we serve. We need to be aware of their challenges and how we can help with that. There's nothing too small, there's nothing too big that we can't accomplish. Thank you very much for watching my video. Have a good one. Bye bye.